The night sky over Earth was peaceful. Stars shined like diamonds and people lived their normal lives, unaware that something strange was coming. In the deep space beyond Pluto, a small listening station caught a signal. At first, the operators thought it was just static noise, but then the signal repeated. It was a message, not from humans. The voice was cold, mechanical, and full of arrogance. "This is the Zhar'Keth Dominion. Surrender your world, submit to the Dominion, or be erased." When the message reached Earth, fear spread like fire. News channels repeated the same words. Some people laughed, thinking it was a prank. Others felt a chill in their bones. The governments of Earth called an emergency meeting. Satellites picked up movement, hundreds of unknown ships moving closer to the solar system. For the first time in history, all human nations stood together. They formed one command, UEDC, United Earth Defense Command. But the aliens didn't wait. One silent night, Mars colony lost contact. A few seconds later, every camera feed turned white. A wave of fire consumed the colony. When the smoke cleared, Mars was gone. 3 million lives, gone in less than a minute. The message came again. Humanity has been warned. Earth went quiet. No more public broadcasts, no military updates. The world looked peaceful from the outside, but under the surface, something was happening. Factories started working day and night. Satellites went offline. Cargo ships disappeared into deep space. The aliens thought humanity had surrendered. They watched Earth's silence and called it fear. But it wasn't fear. It was preparation. In a hidden base under the Pacific Ocean, Commander Ray stood before a hologram of Earth. Around her, engineers and soldiers worked nonstop. Giant ship parts were being built underwater, silent, unseen. "Operation Nemesis," she whispered. "If they want war, we will show them the meaning of it." Weeks passed. The Zhar'Keth sent another fleet to Earth's orbit ready to crush the planet. But instead of panic, they found nothing. No defense signals, no communication, only silence. Then the silence broke. A powerful transmission echoed across all frequencies. It was human, clear, strong, and cold. "To the Zhar'Keth Dominion. Your message was received. This is humanity's answer." In that moment, hundreds of hidden satellites powered up. The oceans moved as something massive rose from the deep. Ships dark and silent breaking through the surface. The first light of dawn touched their steel bodies. Humanity was no longer hiding. Commander Ray looked at the sky and said, "You wanted war. You'll get extinction." The transmission ended. Space went quiet again, but it wasn't the silence of fear anymore. It was the silence before the storm. And far away, in the blackness of space, the alien commanders finally understood. Humanity was coming. The red dust of Mars still floated in space, a silent grave for millions. Where once humans built homes, schools, and dreams, now only ashes remained. The world called it the Day of Fire. Every news channel went dark. Families cried for loved ones who would never return. The people of Earth looked up at the night sky and saw Mars, a glowing red wound in the heavens. But inside that sadness, something else was growing: rage. Humanity had suffered before: wars, disasters, hunger. But this was different. This was not nature. This was an enemy. And when humans face an enemy, they don't run, they rise. The United Earth Defense Command, known as UEDC, began its greatest operation. Underground factories came alive. Space docks on the moon were reopened. Secret shipyards under the oceans built war machines the world had never seen before. Every country sent its best: engineers, soldiers, scientists, all working together for one goal: survival. Commander Ray stood inside the control room of the Pacific base. Holograms filled the air. Massive ships under construction, weapons glowing with blue plasma energy. The commander's eyes were cold, but determined. She remembered the message that destroyed Mars. Submit to the Dominion, or be erased. She whispered back, Let's see who gets erased now. Scientists worked on reverse engineering the alien wrecks that had fallen into Earth's atmosphere. From the remains, they learned how the Zhar'Keth ships worked, how their energy shields pulsed, how their plasma reacted. Within months, humans had built something new, something dangerous. They called it the Nemesis engine. It could power ships faster than any alien design. The first fleet was assembled in silence. 3,000 ships, stealth black, armed with plasma cannons and railguns. They waited under the oceans and inside dark asteroid bases. The world didn't know they existed. When the first ship completed testing, Commander Ray stood before her crew. She said only one sentence. "For every life lost on Mars, we take a world." The crew saluted, their eyes filled with fire. The fleet rose from the Pacific Ocean like metal giants, water crashing around them. The world finally saw the truth. Earth was ready. Satellites captured the moment. Thousands of ships breaking the surface, sunlight shining on their steel armor. People cried, cheered, and prayed at the same time. In orbit, the Nemesis fleet formed a perfect line. Engines burned blue. Then came the final order from Commander Ray. Set course for Zhar'Keth space. The stars stretched as the fleet entered warp speed. The Nemesis fleet moved through the dark of space like silent predators. Thousands of ships glided between the stars. No light, no sound, only purpose. Each human pilot knew what they were fighting for: Mars, Earth, and survival itself. At the center of the fleet stood the command ship, HSS Vengeance. Inside, Commander Ray watched the hologram of a distant star system, the first Zhar'Keth outpost named Outpost 7. It guarded the border of alien space, a fortress that no enemy had ever crossed. But humanity wasn't just another enemy. "Target locked," said Captain Lin, her voice calm but cold. "Orders, Commander?" Ray's eyes never moved from the hologram. Today, they learn what silence means. The first attack began without a warning. Dozens of human ships jumped out of warp right above Outpost 7. The aliens had no time to react. They scrambled their defense systems, shouting in their strange language as alarms filled their ships. The humans fired first. Blue plasma streaked through the black void, cutting alien cruisers in half. Missiles exploded across their stations. For the first time, the Zhar'Keth were afraid. Their technology was powerful, but their minds were slow to adapt. Human ships moved faster, changed formation, and attacked from blind angles. Artificial intelligence controlled the battle like a chess game, predicting every alien move before it happened. In 10 minutes, the mighty Outpost 7 was burning. Inside one of the alien ships, a Zhar'Keth commander screamed in disbelief. "These creatures, how do they fight like this?" A wounded alien soldier whispered, "They learn." Commander Ray stood on the bridge watching the flames on the hologram. "Status?" "All enemy ships destroyed," Captain Lin replied. Ray didn't smile. "Record everything. Send the message." Across the galaxy, every Zhar'Keth communication channel suddenly received a human transmission. A woman's voice, clear and cold. "This is for Mars. This is only the beginning." The message spread like wildfire. In the alien capital, leaders of the Dominion watched in shock. No species had ever attacked them before, let alone one. They couldn't believe humans, those weak creatures from a single blue planet, had destroyed an entire outpost. Panic filled the council room. Some shouted for retaliation, others for peace. But their supreme commander snarled, "They will be erased completely." Back aboard the Vengeance, the crew watched the battle debris float in silence. The stars reflected off their armor. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Commander Ray said softly, "This is not victory. This is a message." The fleet turned toward the next star system. Engines glowed bright as lightning. Humanity had drawn first blood. And somewhere in the cold dark of space, an alien survivor whispered a truth that would spread across the galaxy. They are not prey. They are predators. The news of Outpost 7's destruction spread across the galaxy like a storm. For the first time in thousands of years, the Zhar'Keth Dominion had lost a battle. Their empire, built on fear, now trembled. But for humanity, it was just the beginning. Commander Ray stood inside the bridge of the HSS Vengeance. The stars outside burned like sparks on steel. The Nemesis fleet had grown stronger, faster, and deadlier after every mission. In only 2 weeks, humans had attacked and destroyed 3 alien stations and 7 supply convoys. Every strike was fast, silent, and precise. The aliens started calling them the Ghost Fleet. They couldn't see them coming, they couldn't stop them. When an alien captain asked his general how humans could fight like this, the general answered with fear in his voice, "Because they fight as if they have nothing left to lose." Inside the human ships, the mood was not celebration. It was cold determination. Every soldier carried a picture of Mars, the red ashes, the lost faces. That pain kept them going. Commander Ray walked through the war deck, watching her crew. Some were fixing weapons, others checking maps. None spoke of home. They all knew there was no going back. "Commander," said Captain Lin, "the Zhar'Keth fleet is regrouping near their colony world, Vora 9. Ray nodded slowly. "Then we hit them before they move." The fleet jumped into warp. When they arrived, the alien ships were already waiting, thousands of them forming a wall of fire. It was the largest battle in human history. The stars turned bright with plasma fire. Explosions painted the darkness red and blue. Human ships flew through chaos, their AI systems predicting every move. The aliens screamed over the comms as one ship after another fell. But victory came with loss. In the middle of the battle, the flagship HSS Vigilant took a direct hit. Its reactor exploded, lighting up space like a dying sun. Over 8,000 humans were lost. The crew of the Vengeance watched in silence as the explosion faded. Commander Ray closed her eyes. Captain Lin whispered, "They were the best of us." Ray replied, her voice steady, "Then we finish what they started." She gave the order, "All weapons, full charge, fire everything." The Vengeance unleashed a wave of plasma that cut through the alien fleet like a knife. Within minutes, Vora 9 burned. The Zhar'Keth lost half their army in a single day. But there was no cheer, no victory song. Humanity had become what the galaxy feared most: cold, relentless, unstoppable. As the battle ended, Commander Ray stood before her crew and said quietly, "They wanted extinction. We'll deliver it." The fleet turned toward the alien home system. The war was no longer about defense. It was about justice. The fury of Earth had begun. The stars around the Zhar'Keth system glowed blood red. Their homeworld, Zhar'Keth Prime, sat in the center, a dark planet covered in black cities and silver towers. It was here the Dominion began their empire. It was here humanity would end it. The Nemesis fleet appeared from the edge of the system like ghosts from the void. Thousands of human ships, silent, cold, ready. Each captain knew this was it, the final strike. There was no turning back. Commander Ray stood on the bridge of the HSS Vengeance, her eyes fixed on the massive hologram of the enemy planet. Around her, the crew worked without fear. They had seen too much to feel anything else. "Commander," said Captain Lin, "enemy sensors have detected us." Ray replied, "Good, let them know what's coming." The alien armada rose from their planet's orbit, 10,000 ships strong, shining like a storm of metal. The Zhar'Keth had gathered everything they had left. Their supreme commander sent one last message across the stars. "Humans of Earth, you cannot destroy a world. You will fall before us." Commander Ray listened, calm and silent. Then she spoke. "We don't want to destroy a world. We want to end a war." She raised her hand. "All fleets, advance." The void exploded with light. Missiles crossed the stars. Plasma beams carved through ships, and explosions turned space into fire. The human fleet moved in perfect formation, fast, precise, deadly. The alien fleet tried everything: shield bursts, energy traps, gravity weapons. But nothing stopped humanity's fury. The Nemesis fleet cut through them like lightning through clouds. On the planet's surface, alien citizens looked up and saw fire raining from the sky. The war they had started had finally reached their home. Inside the Vengeance, alarms screamed. The ship shook as enemy blasts hit the hull. "Shields down to 40%, a soldier shouted. "Keep firing," Ray ordered. Captain Lin looked at her. "Commander, we can't hold much longer." Ray's eyes burned with calm fire. "We don't need to hold. We just need to finish." In the center of the fleet, a giant ship, HSS Nemesis, opened its core bay. Inside was the ultimate weapon humanity had built in secret, the Sol Hammer. It was a weapon made from the heart of a dying star, a bomb that could burn a world. Ray gave the final command, "Deploy Sol Hammer. End this." The weapon launched, a sphere of blinding light crossing space like a comet. It struck Zhar'Keth Prime with the power of a sun. The planet's crust split open, oceans boiled, towers melted. Within minutes, the once mighty world turned into a sea of fire and ash. Silence followed. No cheering, no joy, only the echo of destruction. Commander Ray looked at the burning planet and whispered, "This is for Mars." The transmission sent back to Earth contained only 2 words. Target neutralized. Humanity had won, but the stars themselves seemed to mourn. The war was over. The Zhar'Keth Dominion, once feared across galaxies, no longer existed. Their cities were ashes, their fleets gone, their homeworld nothing more than a glowing scar in space. But even in victory, space felt heavy. The Nemesis fleet drifted silently through the ruins. Human ships passed the shattered remains of alien vessels. Fires still burned on the broken planet below. No one spoke. No one celebrated. Inside the HSS Vengeance, Commander Ray stood before the wide viewing window. The reflection of the burning planet glowed on her face. Captain Lin walked up beside her. "It's over," she said quietly. Ray didn't answer for a moment, then she whispered, "No, it's never really over, not after this." Messages flooded in from Earth. The world cheered, billions cried and celebrated. Statues were already being built. They called Ray a hero, the savior of humanity. But Ray didn't feel like one. She saw too many faces lost in the fire, too many ships that never came back. Victory had come at a terrible price. Across the galaxy, other alien empires watched in silence. They had once mocked humanity, calling them weak, emotional creatures. Now they looked at Earth with fear and respect. No one wanted to be next. Ambassadors from distant worlds rushed to send peace messages. Treaties were signed in days, not years. The galaxy changed overnight. But among the stars, whispers began to spread, whispers of survivors. Some Zhar'Keth warships had escaped before the final blast. Small hidden fleets scattered into deep space. No one knew where they went. Rumors said they were rebuilding. Others said they were searching for revenge. Inside a dark asteroid far from any star, a small Zhar'Keth commander sat alone, staring at a hologram of Earth. His voice was broken, full of hate. "They think it's over, but extinction has 2 sides." Meanwhile, back on Earth, the people tried to rebuild their lives. The skies were calm again. The world was united like never before. But beneath the peace, soldiers and leaders could still feel the echoes of war. Commander Ray walked through the memorial hall built for the fallen of Mars. The walls were covered in names, millions of them. She stopped at one and placed her hand on it. Captain Lin approached her quietly. "You brought us peace." Ray shook her head. "Peace bought with fire is only silence before the next storm." Outside, children played under a blue sky, free and safe, the very thing Ray had fought for. But in her heart, she knew something was watching beyond the stars, something that hadn't forgotten. As night fell over Earth, a faint signal appeared on deep space scanners, too weak to trace but strong enough to be heard. It repeated a single alien word. No one could translate it fully, but one thing was clear. It wasn't a call for surrender. It was a promise. 50 years had passed since the Zhar'Keth War. The stars were peaceful again. Trade ships moved freely, colonies grew stronger, and the name Earth carried weight across the galaxy. No empire dared to attack humanity again, not after what happened. Even the oldest alien civilizations spoke the same words: do not awaken the humans. The United Earth Federation had replaced the old nations. Humanity now stood as one, but the soldiers who fought the war were gone, their names carved into stone, a memory of the price that peace had cost. Commander Ray had retired long ago. She lived alone in a quiet station orbiting Mars, the same planet that once burned, now reborn with cities and green fields. Every morning she looked down at it and remembered what began there. One evening she received a message from Earth Command. A young officer appeared on her screen, nervous but proud. "Commander Ray, the Council requests your presence. We are dedicating a monument, the memorial of humanity's stand. We would be honored if you came." Ray smiled softly. "You don't need me. The monument already speaks for everyone who mattered." But the young officer insisted, so she agreed. Days later she arrived on Mars. The ceremony was grand. Thousands stood in silence as the monument was revealed, a giant pillar made of black stone stretching into the sky. On its surface, a single line was carved in shining steel. "We didn't want war, but we finished it." As the crowd watched, Ray stepped forward. Cameras from 100 worlds captured her face, the woman who led humanity through its darkest hour. She spoke slowly, her voice calm but strong. "War doesn't make heroes. It only shows who refuses to fall. Humanity didn't fight for glory. We fought to survive. And survival is our legacy." The people cheered, but Ray turned her eyes to the stars. Somewhere out there in the endless dark were echoes of what humanity had done, and perhaps whispers of what might come again. Later that night, she walked alone through the quiet gardens near the monument. The air was calm, the sky full of stars. She looked up and whispered to herself, "We gave them extinction, but may we never become what we destroyed." A gentle breeze moved through the leaves. The stars shimmered like memories. In that moment, a small child nearby looked up and asked his father, "Who were the Zhar'Keth?" The father smiled and answered, "They were the ones who wanted war, and the humans ended it." The child nodded and looked at the stars, filled with wonder instead of fear. From that day on, across every world that knew the name Earth, one truth remained. In the age of empires and extinction, only one law stands eternal. Humanity does not start wars, but it always ends them.